Welcome back, everybody. Today we have something a little bit different. We're going to be breaking down some of the music videos that I've worked on for larger name clients. We're not going to go too in depth with step-by-steps like I usually do in my tutorials. I want to really be talking about some of the ways that my style has evolved. I also want to talk about some lessons that I've learned along the way. Comment below if you guys do this for a living, if you're doing it as a hobby, as a side hustle. I think it's good to create some stuff like this where we can provide value in other ways other than just showing step-by-step, because the reality of things is there's a lot more that goes into doing this for a living than just knowing how to do different things with an editing software. So one thing I want to get across before we start here, I'm not a professional. I've never claimed to be. There's millions of other people that have larger skill sets than me that are working with different people. I'm just doing me and trying to get better at editing VFX 3D every single day if possible. So knowing that, you don't need to take what I say as this is the right way, this is the wrong way. Just like in my tutorials, I believe there's no right or wrong way. There's just the way that works for you. So number one, don't think about large names whenever you're trying to find clients. Yes, it's awesome to work with people that you look up to or listen to, but I think the better thing to focus on is increasing your skill set, learning something new, trying to level yourself up. There's a lot of people that hustle and network, make a lot of great connections, but if you don't have anything to fall back on, if all of that falls through, then all that hard work could go to nothing. So make sure you invest in yourself first. Make sure you're focusing on trying to grow your value. How can I provide things to a client? How can I provide things to directors, producers, labels? Usually when you focus on that instead of trying to chase after your dream project, things will end up working themselves out and you'll be able to open up a lot more opportunities because you can bring value in some sort of way. So raising your own value instead of chasing opportunity is something that can really help you get to the next step. Now, leading into the next thing, how do I get on larger projects? How do I work with larger clients? It's something that a lot of people have asked me on Instagram and live streams. So for getting on these larger projects, again, keep in mind that first thing I mentioned, creating the value. The second thing is showing people that you can provide that value. So in this day and age, there's social media, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, whatever it is, make sure you're putting stuff out there. For me with YouTube, my personal rule was one video every 3 days. It's different for everyone. Just make sure you're trying to consistently put out different things. Yes, you can DM people, knock on the door and say, here's what I can do for you. Here's my price. Let me know if you're interested. Another thing you can do, move to a city where there's a large production scene, start from the bottom, helping people out and work your way up. Show that you can be helpful, network with different people. You never know what's going to happen, but always keep that first thing in mind about building the value, investing in yourself. Make it so that the people want to work with you instead of you trying to chase after working with them. In my own personal experience, 99% of the opportunity that comes to me is from collaboration. I've been able to work with awesome directors, awesome VFX people, Television, Daniel Kelly. A lot of people really think that the artists are going to be picking and choosing who's working on the video, but they usually have a lot of things that they're worried about. And depending on the person you're working with, the management team around it or the creative team around the project is the real people that are going to bring you on to the project. If you're working on a client project, know that you're working for their vision. The great thing about music videos is you can get really experimental with it. You can do a bunch of crazy stuff. You may make suggestions that may help the final output based on your knowledge, but ultimately you're working together to create something for them. So don't have any egos, don't complain, get the work done. That brings me into the next thing I want to talk about, and that is the realistic dedication of time that you need to put in to create whatever's up in your head or whatever's in the client's head. The thing that's really going to raise your skill level isn't so much the knowledge of being able to do different things, it's the dedication and passion for the project. Actually sit in a chair for hours on end, or for, if you're starting from the bottom, you could be working 14 hours a day as a PA, not getting paid a lot. These are the things that you need to realistically be prepared for. Are you willing to really put everything you can into something to make it as best as possible? For a lot of people, that's very difficult. For other people, they get so absorbed in the process that the time flies for them. Contrary to what you may be seeing on Instagram, you may think that a lot of people who are doing video production, working with these large artists, are out partying with them, hanging out with the artists, and everything is just smooth sailing. In reality, what they did to get to where they were is working hard, sitting in their chair, editing, grinding out the work. So be prepared. You need to have that hustle factor in you if you're going to be doing any type of freelance work, especially if you want to keep going up the ladder and opening different opportunities. All right, so that's really all I have to say about that. There's money, there's dealing with clients, there's so many different things that revolve around this workspace, this environment. But I said my main piece on the things that I want you guys to think about. Again, this is an open forum, just like with with my tutorials. I say there's no right way to do something. So if you have any input, leave it down in the comments, or if there's anything that I just mentioned that you're struggling with, talk to us down in the comments, and hopefully you walk out of here feeling a little better about something than before you clicked on this video. So let's get into the actual technical side of working on these projects, what I do personally, and especially the thought processing. Let's go ahead and start with that. So when it comes to the thought processing for these videos, I want you guys to know I talk about a lot of effects on my channel, but in reality, effects aren't what make a good video. So for a project like this, the main thing, and I can't play the audio obviously because of copyright, but the main thing is creating an edit that flows. So I think this Joe Moses Go Viral featuring Future music video displays that motion a little bit better. So there's a link down below if you want to see it. And what I really try to do is edit it in a way where it feels like you're being pulled through the scenes and the shots. So one of the things that can help the most when it comes to editing to the music and just making your video edit flow is just grabbing your audio track and whatever video editing software you're using and pulling it up so you can really see those audio levels. As you can see the little jumps in the audio here, these are where you should be making your cuts so that everything is flowing properly. So here's the full project file for the Joe Moses and Future video. Another thing that I did for this is I created this little intro sequence which wasn't in the original music video. Sometimes creating some sort of cinematic intro can be a great way to get the video started instead of just hopping right into the song. So it depends on the song, everything is different. You shouldn't just rely on only your knowledge of effects, because if you want to do this for freelance, make a career out of this, whatever, you're going to be working with all types of different styles. So here's the little intro sequence I made with all the little sound effects that I added in. You see, I use that just to set the pace and then to get the song and the video flowing in the way I want it. So using sound, using your editing, and then if it's in your style, get experimental with it. For this one, I used some different freeze frame. I used some little Photoshop hand-drawn animation in here, some different 3D elements. So I like experimenting with a bunch of different stuff. I also like adding these little sequences where things just flow through each other. So you're just flying into different parts of the car using After Effects cameras. The way that I view a good video edit that's flowing is it should feel like a dance. Here's some other parts where we have spins, we have using reverse speed just to kind of match everything up. Whenever you have some little snare effects, you can just add little cuts like that or cut out little parts of the scenes just to bring that snare out more. So that's a big one, making sure that your video editing flows. That's the main thing that I wanted to get across with this video. Now let's talk about a little bit of my specific style, what I'm into. I really love 3D. So the reason why I gravitate towards 3D, there's no bounds to what you can do with 3D. Anything that's inside your head, you can bring to life using 3D, such as cars, any scenes like this, where again, it's relating to the lyrics that they're saying. You can create these awesome little 3D animations to cut in between if you are lacking in footage, or you can mix your 3D in with the actual footage, like scenes like this, where he kind of changes into this simulated cloth. I made a full tutorial on that, as well as scenes like this, where it goes from real life into 3D. So what I did for there, I took a screenshot of this scene right here where Gunna's up against the glass and you kind of have this white wall with the store behind him. And then in my 3D software, I went in and I tried to recreate that scene as best as possible. So I made the table here, I made some clothing in the back. Obviously, if you look closely, it's completely different if you just look at the clothes. But whenever something's happening that fast, it's hard for the person to notice. Don't lose time by going too in detail. This is something I struggle with because in reality, what you're doing is probably going to be a couple of seconds in the grand scheme of things. Of course, I love using different transitions such as just simple freeze frames, rotoscoping, applying different elements, or even just little overlays like that. A lot of the things that we talk about on a regular basis on this channel that you can use just to give a little bit of pop to your videos. You can even combine these. So you have a 3D scene here. I added in this little B overlay, some little B green screen, and I just used that to transition from this scene into the next. One thing that I think can really help you guys, this is what I do with all client work. I open up a notepad and I just start writing down my ideas. I also do this on pen and paper for any YouTube idea or any other client idea or anything that I need to remember. Trying to keep your ideas organized is super important. So I'll sit down, I'll listen to the song on repeat over and over and over at certain parts of the song, or according to some of the footage that I may have already cut in, I'll just try and daydream with it and say, hey, at 2:18, it would be cool to add 3D scene of a UFO. Freeze frame here because the footage would work together like that. Same within your actual editing software. If you look at this full project file, you're just going to see all of these different little notes here that I'm using with this marker button in Adobe Premiere. So let's go through here and just look at some of these markers and just kind of break down some of the things that I'm thinking. So for some of these, it's just marking where the beat is hitting, so I know where to cut. Or some other ones, this one says add 3D animated world rotating. Here's what that idea turned into. So use the tutorials I put out as a way to learn the steps. But again, this is the real thing that goes into taking all that knowledge that you have, all those tutorials and tools that you have available to you, and putting them into use. All right, so we talked about the future video. We talked about the Gunna video. Let's talk about the newest video that I just worked on. And this should give you some insight into some of the techniques and styles that I'm currently into. So I really am liking 3D characters. I'm really liking 3D scenes like this intro, all 3D, creating these 3D bridges. You'll notice a lot of what I put into my client videos, I make tutorials on. I'm always exposing what I'm doing because I talk about it whenever I learn it. That's the way I've sort of taught myself how to even use Adobe and 3D. I find something, I mess around with it, make a tutorial on it, and then it's up there forever. In the video, whenever he mentions North Side and Pittsburgh, I wanted to bring to life the meaning of that and him representing that. So I looked up this way to take Google Earth 3D objects and bring them into Blender. And then I added some little 3D scenes and some simulated smoke in here just to add this quick little scene of an actual photorealistic satellite image of the place that he's speaking of. So for the future video, my main lesson was editing to the music, making everything flow. For the Gunna video, my main lesson was keeping track of your ideas and relaying that into edit or the work that you're doing. The lesson I want to get across with this video is applying those ideas that you have and those skills that you have to the artist and the client. So for me, I try and edit in a way where it's memorable. I try and edit in a way where it's expressing what they're saying. So whenever you have someone like Wiz Khalifa, again, I'm from Pittsburgh, so I grew up in the culture of Wiz Khalifa and Taylor Gang, which was beneficial for me, but I like putting in little Easter egg edits, like having the phone here dial 412, the area code for Pittsburgh, putting in the Pirates P logo, using black and yellow for the colors. For here, again, I've been talking about 3D characters, and this is probably going to be my next upload where I talk about how I make these, but designing the 3D character, putting on the right tattoos onto his face, onto his neck. So if you can think of it in a way where you're not just piecing together the footage, but you're listening to the lyrics, you're listening to the message, you understand what they're trying to represent, that can come in handy when it comes to translating into the edit. Having something that connects with the artist or connects with the people who are fans of the artist. Let me know if you like something like this where it's not really me just going through and showing you the tools, it's talking about how I use the tools. Again, I'm not a professional. I don't even do a lot of freelance client work. It's not the main way that I make money. So if I'm working on something, it's really because I'm interested in it and it's fun for me. If you guys did enjoy, leave a like, comment, subscribe, do all the good stuff. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for supporting, and I'll see you guys in the next one.